potentially open up for that first pick jungle that you did talk about. Another thing to highlight is the fact that LeBlanc is open this time around. Definitely Yuekai's best champion, most played champion, always defaults back to it in solo queue. IG now hovering over some junglers. I definitely think the Xin Zhao would be the best to go with blind, something like a Jarvan, maybe only after they show a few picks and, you know, there's a lot of immobility and things like that. Now for the side of TT, just we're going to see the hyper carry trade-off once again, straight towards the Aphelios for Puff, which I think was his most impactful champion on IG. I believe that was the one he had a pentakill on, if I'm not mistaken.
Dude,
No, you know, we're an at-home broadcast. I can look it up. It was. Did get a pentakill on the Aphelios up against Ultra Prime, so Puff at least going to be on something a bit more comfortable.
And the other side, you're like, well, I guess we're trading 80 carries, right? That means Xiaoyueji picks up the Jinx. And I talked about the Thresh last game quite a lot and pick ban Lyric. Both these teams going past it, at least for now. See if TT want to pick that one up because we've got a Lulu Jinx, a very common duo at the moment.
It's kind of nice, too, because we've been seeing a ton of enchanters played in solo queue, but we haven't really seen them have the same impact in terms of pick priority in the LPL. Leona, Thresh, Nautilus are the most played supports over the first 3 days. Sure, there was still some Lux, there was some Lulu, some Karma, but I definitely thought it would have had a bigger presence than what we've seen so far. And it seems like IG and TT both reacting to that, feeling the same way of, hey, we can bring some of these enchanters, have a strong laning 2v2, and scale into the late game incredibly well.
But Lyric, you realize what's happening. You realize that both teams have just swapped comps. Like, we're literally just doing the same blue side comp so far, the same red side comp, but TT are absorbing it. We're seeing some different bads, but it just feels like we're going back to the drawing board. We're doing the exact same thing, and now IG might try TT's comp for game number 2.
So, okay, so that means fourth pick. We're definitely going to get the Vex coming out for the side of TT. We get Corki over for IG. Camille. Neny's played Camille before.
True.
It's possible. It's doable.
Syndra's banned as well. So you're going to tell them to pick Vex, right?
I am. You know, I would honestly love to see both teams just trade drafts. I mean, because then, right, then if IG wins, it's just... there's nothing you could say.
That's true.
No draft diff, no uncomfortability on certain champions, no. But it looks like TT kind of
are they gonna change it,
with
dude?
the idea of playing the Thresh.
You can't change it. Come on. You can't ruin it. No. Oh, the TT outmaneuver. So now they have an excuse if they're not able to pick this one up, Lyric, and does mean that we are going to see a change in drafts, folks, to let you down. But the Thresh and Aphelios is something we've talked about quite a lot, and a strong pick for SouthWind.
Yeah, again, I think it's SouthWind's best champion. It's a champion that had a ton of play over at the Mossy Cup, and the drafts are going to keep changing. As this time around, we are getting neny on the Jayce, so we'll have some early bully potential in this matchup. Again, you have an enchanter, you have a lot of long range as well, so we know once we get to the point in the game where we are looking for contests over mid-wave, that IG, at least thus far with their picks, barring what mid-TT picks, are looking favored. And I mean, after the game 1 performance, I wouldn't be surprised to see Xiaoyueji lock it in. I mean, Yuekai lock it in, but no, instead of saying, hey, LeBlanc's my best champion, I spam it in solo queue pretty much on the daily, we're just going to go with what's familiar.
And it makes sense when we saw in game number 1, it was one of the first bans from TT. They let it slip through, and we're going to see if they're going to pay the price, because the iron price would be big here for Captain. He's already picked up the Vex. He's picked it up in LPL before. It was that game number 1 where we saw TT kind of flatline from the mid-game onwards. Can he bring a better performance this time around, Lyric? Because their composition, bit of scaling once again for TT. Some good team fighting, I've noticed, especially if we're countering someone like Vex and Aphelios.
Yeah, so for TT, I like the Vex pick. Does incredibly well up against the LeBlanc. Again, kind of swapped identities a little bit for these drafts. I think the big defining thing for IG is going to be the fact of how they outrange the side of TT. You have the Jinx, you have the accelerated shock blast coming out from neny top side. You have Yuekai who can just pop in and out, try and get, you know, a chain or a Q out onto the Aphelios. So they're going to be playing at arm's length.
Other teams on paper, like the RNGs, like the BLGs, the, I guess, FPXs, you could even say, after their big win. The top esports is if they can catch up. So many big teams in the LPL. TT need every win they can get if they want to try and make a run towards playoffs. As IG, I'll be saying the same story. Lyric, top side invade. neny's not falling for it. Everyone's backing away.
Yeah, so IG just trying to be a little bit cheeky. I mean, TT trying to be a little bit cheeky, not to be able to find anything. First things that jump out to me is interesting route choices, right? Yuekai going for the first strike up against Captain, so gonna rely on trying to get some of that gold a little bit later on, as well as the 10% true damage that will come out. Not something I've seen a ton of in this matchup in solo queue, but again, we're gonna see if Yuekai is able to make it work.
Well, I like that we see some adaptations coming through. I mean, first strike on LeBlanc. Yeah, we're going to have to track how much gold is actually given over. Is TT going to be starting on the bottom side here, Lyric? Top side start for IG. Xun on the Xin Zhao, swapping jungle picks. One of the things we talked about. It's going to be a new kind of side start. And the potential to head bottom lane. And, you know, I know you and I were talking a lot about solo lanes coming into this one. You mentioned that neny's got a strong lane here. That Yuekai as well on comfort in the LeBlanc. Seeing the bottom lane against Puff and SouthWind being a focus in game one tends to lead my eyes towards Xun trying to make an early gank path towards pushing them down once again.
Yeah, I wonder if Xun will look for that, because IG's bottom lane should have push, and especially when I think about this mid matchup, it's probably where Xun wants to look first, because when you look at LeBlanc versus Vex, I think Vex has pretty good trade patterns into the LeBlanc. LeBlanc's trades are all based off of her W, which Vex can negate a lot of the damage with her own W personal space. LeBlanc's W also telegraphs a lot of her movement, so it makes it easier for you to hit Q and E. LeBlanc's a dash champion, so you have more potential to use your Gloom passive. Just a lot of things that stack in favor of Vex. One of Vex's potential weaknesses is the fact that she's immobile. She is very gankable. LeBlanc does bring the setup there, so I think IG can look that route to try and unlock Yuekai from lane early on.
Well, that's interesting to me because, yeah, you bring up some good points about how LeBlanc interacts with the new champion. Importantly as well, Yuekai already taking a bit of damage. You can see in lane, health bar a little bit low, corrupting potion, one spot left with a cookie in each inventory of the mid laners. And Xun is down towards bottom side near that jungle route now. We can't really get a look on towards mid lane. We're looking at top for the time being because looks like New stacking the wave a little bit here as the Gwen. And is looking to trade off on neny. And neny getting pushed back, which is a great sign of life considering how dominant the laning phase was from the Gwen, which was neny in game one.
Yeah, neny's still getting decent return trade back on the way out. He isn't really going to miss out in terms of any CS. They will be even. Still, New exerting a lot of pressure. But bot lane, though, IG's the one who has pressure. Looks like Xun wants to capitalize, look for an invade. Frigid does spot him out. Yeah,
dodges away there from the wind becomes lightning. So Frigid just going to be on top of the ward. Full information given over, but likewise here for Invictus Gaming. Goes back to clear his camps. Only one left remaining with the topside scuttle. Means for now, Xun looks like he is going to be tracking a bit of a CS lead with Frigid going back to base at level 4. So Lyric, a pretty slow early game once again. Frigid is thinking about whether to cancel his back or not. The potential of bottom lane, but I like that Xiaoyueji and Lucas are playing a little bit close to their jungler and being quite cautious.
Yeah, I think Frigid sticking around a little bit bot lane because the wave is bouncing back into the side of IG, so wanting to be there just in case Xun was here looking for some kind of gank. Maybe even if they overstep, you can look for some kind of flash lantern play onto them. IG doing a nice job of trying to draw this one out. Xun, his Gromp has finally come back up, so if he does want to finally channel his recall, will have some camps to start picking up, but IG being incredibly patient for this one.
And remember, there's deep ward in that first brush, so if Xun walks any further forward, and he will be spotted out. I mean, SouthWind's coming in and out as well, but he's deep. He's so damn deep, and with the flash being burnt, Xun on the chase. That's a summoner down with a heal on top of that from Puff. And IG will take the summoner trade for now, with Lucas only burning his.
I mean, you dedicated like a solid 40+ seconds from your jungler, so it's good that you ended up getting something in the end, or heck, Xun probably was finally just about to finish channeling his recall. So does get something out of it. Still will be able to make it up now, having 2 camps up on his top side. Will probably pass down towards that bottom lane. neny having a control ward up top side means he should be relatively safe for now.
Yep.
And I think for IG, again, laning phase going mostly fine. Sure, your bottom lane is a little bit down in terms of CS, but you're going neutral in both of your soul lanes. And we did talk about for IG, especially later on, it's going to be a lot about playing off of that range advantage they have and having the scaling coming in from something like the Lulu for the Jinx.
Close little call in the bottom lane. I want to come back to talk about scaling in a second. I'm just concerned with SouthWind, and if you could find anything on Lucas. You mentioned late game, talking about scaling advantage. Go a little bit deeper for me in terms of how TT can respond to that, because we often talk about how strong Gwen is in a late game, how, you know, Vex is a mid-game champion, we'll talk about that as well, but Aphelios too, how he can be in team fights. Let's talk about those adaptations. Do I get time, Lyric? I don't, dude, because Captain has Shadow Surf. Captain has his ulti available. He's level 6. Ignore what I was just saying. New is as well. neny's in a lot of trouble as the ulti hits as well. It's doom and gloom time. Immediate burst. Captain with a strong first blood.
Yeah, Captain, once again, giving up some of his wave mid to be able to look to make this play. Nice shot from him. They just completely shut out neny. Isn't going to be able to catch that wave top. So now Yuekai is covering. neny might make his way down mid to finish getting on first in, but we have a Dragon Scott.
Great Sonic Wave. It's only level 5. It's not stolen, but Xiaoyueji, both summoners down in the interim. Shun in the middle of the pit, and he has to flash too, but one more burns. All it's going to take. Puff is given a lantern. As a strong bottom 2v2 is helped out by Frigid. Flashes burn in every corner, and Puff gets that Gravitum down. Look at the Severin Crescendum. He's building up more damage. And TT 3-0 start, Lyric. Almost a 2k gold lead. That dragon means nothing with this momentum.
Really nice punish by the earlier uses of TP by IG, because TT feel confident in making plays on both sides of the map. Captain making his way up towards top side. TT also realized that they can contest Dragon because Captain does still have that TP up as well to follow through. We're going to see here just an incredible amount of patience to come in. Obviously, this all hinges on Captain landing that skill shot for this play to be able to work. He does. Instantly into the bot side play for Dragon. Captain is already TP'd to his mid lane turret. Members of IG already low from them being the one to tank Dragon. And then Puff following through with the flash to be able to make sure he can secure some of these kills. Frigid safeguarding forward as well. And just nice job by TT winning out on both sides.
Important kills. Frigid in a great position here, Lyric. 1-0-1. Captain picked up the kill before, and SouthWind the other down at the bottom lane. Early gold. It's almost 2,000 in the lead here, and for TT, saying before, forget the Dragon, this is a great start. Now we want to see them push it a little bit further, especially when we talk about late game range advantage. Early momentum, snowballing for TT. And there is a Herald sitting up and available, but TT just want to double down.
Yeah, SouthWind bringing the Lantern down. It's going to be a 4v2 play.
Captain has
IG in a pretty rough spot. Frigid doesn't ult.
Again, once again, the fear through. A great kickback right into the waiting arms of Vex. And you know what? You're as sad as her right now if you're the IG bottom lane. As more kills go over, more gold, and TT with 4 members in the bottom lane are about to blast this door wide open.
IG were trying to push in that bottom wave while SouthWind was showing mid on the map, aren't able to get it in fast enough. The members of TT are able to roam down, and they pick up a massive win. Sure, IG will be able to get Rift Herald on the opposite side, but on top of denying golden XP from minions, Puff is getting alone time with the tower and picking up a lot of plates. You've got more gold on your jungle and mid lane as well, so just a really nice spread of economy on the side of TT.
Right, I mean, a great start from TT, and you know, a much stronger start than we saw against OMG as well. Remember, we saw a couple of kills go down and then TT kind of fell to the wayside, but this is momentum that continues going, as I love the word momentum today, apparently, and neny loves to take this 1v1, but it's not fair. IG brought the cavalry up here as New, gets a big hand of it, the zap back in, but hang on, Gwen does so much work. neny lucky to be alive after snip time, and IG now with the Herald Lyric, this is their response.
Yeah, IG realizing that TT's bot lane would be looking for some recalls of their own, just send their bot lane straight top to look to make this play. They're going to be able to break this one down with Rift Herald while neny goes and answers on the opposite side. I don't think TT really have much room to respond. Captain still pushing in that wave mid, but still IG will just be forced to back off. Would be a little bit int to go any further than this.
It would indeed, but hey, the gold's come back after a 3k gold lead after I was just praising TT. IG finding some kind of respite in this game, and Lyric, I can't see the items right now, I'm at 160p, but we are starting to get IG matching. I think it's important for us to have a bit of a discussion about what happens at the next dragon, because your brain is the size of the cosmos, and I'd love to know what you think coming up to this one.
Well, first of all, sir, you're at 160p. You are a much luckier human being than I am right now.
What are you at?
But I don't even know. God, I'd give anything for some 160p though.
You've seen Ant-Man, dude. You know what you are. You're beyond the subatomic at the moment. You're in the subatomic internet realm. You're not going to be in trouble here. But yeah, walk me through it.
Yeah, for IG, they've already started to open up sides, right? Having Jayce, LeBlanc. I think for Yuekai, you're just going to want to get this one pushed in, start roaming down. At the very least, try to force Gwen to blow the TP. I don't think IG in a position where they can win a straight-up 5v5 skirmish right now, so I think getting some of those sums off the board so you can then set up a play with the fact that you will have LeBlanc pushing in the side, you know, in maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute is probably what IG should be aiming to do.
I just love right now the LeBlanc going all in towards the top side while IG's bottom lane holding control. A couple more seconds until we see this dragon, and I think for TT, you know, at this point, I'm really keen to see how Captain navigates the fights. I believe he's still getting close towards that first item. We do have what looks like a Gordrick here, Lyric. I tell you what, this is pretty exciting to look at. Trying to guess the items here. Is the bottom lane dive? Is it even going to be that? The ignite, the flash away. He survives. He's ticking down. That's a long ignite, but SouthWind definitely deserves the kill.
Yeah, really nice coming out from them. IG, another member going down. And honestly, I'm just happy that after game one, this isn't some quick, easy stomp like it looked like it could have potentially been. TT showing some signs of life.
That was TT that got the dragon. Now, IG were down in the bottom lane. I don't know if I missed that one. But yeah, it's a secure either way by Captain. So nicely done. And a 1-for-1 here for TT. Gold is 1,500 in the lead. Still something. So at this point, I think Lyric, you know, we'll be talking about the next Herald coming up quite shortly. We'll be talking about the map movements that, you know, you're mentioning Yuekai in the side lane. He's going from lane to lane, pretty much picking up the rest of this turret plating. He's been quite slick with his assignment.
Especially when you just look at the members on the opposing side, right? Gwen and Vex, no real way of locking her down. Sure, I guess you can Shadow Surge in, look for the fear as Captain to try to CC here and then look for the fight, but still, LeBlanc should still distortion up, will then easily be able to get away. We'll also just be able to win out that 1v1 regardless, unless you miss everything. So I think there's no real threat that can lock Yuekai down. So you're kind of looking to play towards the opposite side. I think especially looking to group up through mid, utilizing your Lee Sin and your Thresh, trying to find some picks onto the Jinx and Lulu is probably what would be ideal for the side of TT.
Stop this Jinx from, you know, hitting that late game point. Xiaoyueji's had a decent enough time in lane, only dying that one time. And TT making a play towards bottom lane. Yuekai might be in a bit of trouble here, Lyric, especially with Captain on the way down. Remember, the Shadow Surge hits from about a screen away. The SouthWind joins in as well. TT exert their pressure, set up for this turret. They're going to be matching that first turret blood that was picked up by IG moments ago. So a bit more gold back on the map here for TT in this game number 2. Now that we're at the 14-minute mark as well, as TPs are unleashed and turret plating is down.
Yeah, you see though, wherever TT wants to make a play, it kind of has to be a trade of pressure for the fact that, sure, they could push LeBlanc out of this lane, but they had to dedicate both Frigid and SouthWind there, on top of already having Captain there as well, right? So they opened up a place on the map, which in that instance was mid, to where IG can now push in this wave or look to get a few hits on turret. Luckily for the side of TT, they were able to just outright force that turret down, so are able to get more out of the trade, but we're going to continue to see this cycling or this trading of pressure coming out from the side of TT, because if they want to answer sides, they will always have to dedicate more members than IG does.
Right, that's a problem. Feels like that can be abused quite easily with good side lane allocation, especially since, you know, that the Jinx and the Lulu, they haven't moved from mid. This has just been a consistent mid where wave clear after wave clear and hang on, cameras switch angles. Yuekai once again doing the same thing. This is quite big considering that this turret probably now going to go down and New just has to leave.
Yeah, Yuekai kind of playing with the members of TT. TT still going to be able to answer with this Rift Herald, but IG should be able to push mid off this one, start making their way into the bot side jungle, getting wards down, and just allowing for a longer and even safer lane for Yuekai to be able to keep pushing, even potentially set up for a rotation from mid to bot tier 2 later on. So I think IG are making the correct response moves. Now we're going to be keeping our eyes on Frigid with how they plan on dropping down this Rift Herald.
Yep.
With the fact that they are losing push to Yuekai, I feel like you just look to use it on side because you should never have an opportunity to roam mid and drop it there. So I think TT also making the correct response.
All right, well, they're going to get the turret for now without it anyway, but yeah, breaking open the map a little bit more, especially with 2 turrets to 2. TT have a chance to push ahead quite far in the gold lead, as well as opening up the map. I mean, getting themselves in assertive position into the mid game. Lyric, we've got a dragon coming up in 50 seconds, and you know, we have first item across the board, apart from supports, as I always say. But second item's getting built, and I think a big one for me is the fact that Puff has the serrated dirk here and the pickaxe. So there's a lot of damage on this Aphelios for the upcoming fight. Also there for Xiaoyueji on the Jinx. I can't see what those items are, but it's a big deal, the fact that these AD carries are going to be doing work. And dragon spawning in under 30 seconds. Both teams moving down. I'm ready for the LPL to continue showing us blood. The Blood God is... I don't know what he was doing in the Christmas period. He was waiting there, looking for some kills and glory.
Yeah, and we see TT knowing what they have to do, right? Try and Bean River first. The side of IG doesn't really have any member that can just safely walk in. Yuekai can pop in and out, get some poke down, and just kind of make them unsure, make them feel not safe to look to just outright start Dragon. But it was still enough pressure to just push TT out.
Big damage from Yuekai over the wall. That means that SouthWind gets down to less than half. And the Herald, not even approaching this turret, it's just dead. Ultimate used by Puff as well, and a great opportunity for IG just to go forward. TT in their shell behind their first turret in the mid lane. Yuekai holding up on this LeBlanc pick that has been banned for a reason. Even the ulti misses from Captain. The explosion begins. Yuekai showcasing his LeBlanc in a massive way. No one dare stand near him, while IG will go down to the Dragon and take their reward.
Even though TT have been the team with a gold lead, it definitely feels like for the past 5 minutes, IG have been the ones in command of the map and what is going on. As Yuekai once again just looking to find something. This will be IG's second Dragon, so we'll have this win condition to fall back on top of that. And now as TT, we're kind of back to the drawing board, right? We've already seen some of the potential plays in their playbook in terms of bringing Lee Sin and Thresh down to a side lane, and that opens you up a point of pressure to where you can pick someone off. But again, that even feels like IG opening an avenue for you. Yuekai will always be too mobile, so I feel like those plays can really only come against neny. Neny has been playing quite respectful.
Yes, especially the Gwen. And we're going to have a look at this pro view, Lyric, because Yuekai, this LeBlanc, this is his power pick. And he's doing quite a lot of work. He's had a pretty stable game so far. He was bullying out New before, but now more so, he's taking care of business with a 2-item LeBlanc. And I'd be really scared if you're TT. It feels like right now, TT stands for tickle tickle, because that's all they're really doing to IG in this mid game.
Yeah, for the side of TT, the only thing that's kind of sad is the fact that you do have that Aphelios. So I think at first glance, you'd be like, okay, TT, you do still have this win condition to play around. Aphelios can be super strong, can take over team fights. The thing is, though, how do you get Aphelios into a place where he'll be in range to deal damage on anyone, right? Because we've already seen Yuekai's play pattern. He can just weave in and out. Jinx will always outrange him. Potential fight coming out. Kick from Frigid.
Badge is now down as well. You mentioned about the kick here. So a couple elements down. Captain still with the Shadow Surges. Damage flies through from neny. Puff in a bit of trouble. He does mark Yuekai, but can't get close enough to get that range and add to the Shuriken base. But Invictus Gaming, they've got 15 seconds till the Baron now. Lyric, is this an option? Do you bait TT towards this objective, or am I just getting excited because I've watched too much FPX?
No, I don't think IG are in a place where they have to. For IG's comp, since they do have win conditions through other ways, right? Like just allowing to Yuekai to keep splitting, getting vision down on that top side, and kind of looking for these picks. And heck, you even have dragons on your side. It's Puff!
Oh, that's a big brain move! What a Chad! What an absolute Chad to pull that off when his team's starting to fall behind. Puff showing he is the true element here of the TT roster, and exactly what we talked about while Yuekai doing the same kind of thing. He's burned both summoners to get down here as Shun pops it around with the Crescent Guard. I'm going to come back, Lyric, because Puff made me scream, and that's a very big moment for the Aphelios to pull off.
You know, I remember we hit on this in their first series, but Puff sometimes just has these moments where he just either a whole game or a single moment where he just does something absolutely incredible. It seems like it happens, I'd say maybe one in about every 5 games that Puff plays. There's some crazy highlight moment to make you be like, huh, maybe this guy can be the carry. We're going to see here in the replay once again, SouthWind not landing the death sentence. I mean, Puff just realizing how much damage he does have, is able to hit the ultimate, has the Calibrum there as well, so doesn't have to commit too deep, and is able to pick up the kill. But SouthWind
on the other hand,
dead.
Maybe not the same, but Puff, remember, he was the Giga Chad once before, as into the front line. Shun's going to get absolutely blasted. Super Mega Death Rocket, and look at the wild growth. You can see Xiaoyueji quite low, gets hit with the Infernal on the back end. Even Captain helping with that. I'm not sure if it was Spectral Mist that came through, but TT with an advantage. 4 versus 3. Shock Blast from neny are doing something, but for TT, they've still won this fight. They still show they're in this game.
I mean, we've kind of seen the dynamic of how both teams win and lose within the past few minutes, right? For IG, you kind of want the setup. You want all 5 of your members to be there with the enemy 5 in front of you so you can be dishing out the long-range damage. For the side of TT, it has been all about picks like we highlighted in the early game. I mean, for TT, you kind of set up this pick by having your support run it down and get caught out. But Captain, though, finding the Shadow Surge in, able to get onto numerous members. They pick up the first kill. I want to see how Xiaoyueji goes down.
Oh, it's a Mr. Fall.
Yep, is just going to be to that kill from Captain. And Captain, really nice turnaround to be able to bring that skirmish in favor of TT. Woo. But SouthWind, though.
We got big members in this game.
Like damage.
We got some big hitters. We got Puff. Captain showed he can be a big hitter. And Yuekai. Even neny, right, is the silent one who, excuse me, has been hitting from afar and doing quite a lot. So big burst potential in this game. I feel like it's a very big discussion.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just crazy to me how despite all the back and forth we've seen, the fact that gold is still even.
It is.
We will be getting, okay,
my
Yuekai. If he could have found Puff there, that would have been so massive. Puff, though, still has HP. And Jayce just completely deletes him.
Forget it. Who are we looking at? Yuekai to find Puff. Instead, it is neny who comes through. Now, Lyric once again. As the Dragon goes down, as IG got a soul point. Burst potential. That meme of that guy holding there's big size in my hands right now. And it feels like burst potential is everything in this game.
You know, there's been a lot of talk over the past few years about if, you know, there's too much damage in League of Legends. And I think I've seen a lot of people lean towards yes. You know, maybe there is for the health of the game. But as a viewer, seeing things like that out of nowhere is freaking amazing.
It's satisfying. Definitely satisfying. Puff take it off the screen as well. And, you know, for IG, they picked themselves up. I said soul point before. We'll look again, Lyric. Because it started with Yuekai, who tried to burst down.
Well, actually, it started with neny hitting that first shock blast, and then Yuekai comes in, sets it up, and then neny coming back in for the slam dunk. Beautiful to see.
Little walk back. Oh, neny picking it up. I mean, that was Dragon. And again, you know, we come back to. I noticed what you were talking about before with Yuekai. Finding these little picks, if you can find jungler or AD carry right before an objective, it makes it such a hard game for TT. One misstep, and they get punished.
Yeah, TT are still just trying to move as a unit. If they can find someone a little bit scattered, they can go in. We can see Captain is kind of playing a main initiation role, has even gone for the Zhonya's second, so you can just land the Shadow Surge, go in yourself, buy time with the Zhonya's Hourglass, and give a little bit of time for Frigid to get in there, try and find a kick on someone like Xiaoyueji, give room for SouthWind to hit a death sentence, and that's how you're going to be taking your fights, right? Because you don't really have any reliable CC. It is all a skill shot. Thresh Q, all of Vex's abilities, Xin being able to find the target to get that kick on. So for TT, it's not going to be easy.
Thank you for the wolves. It's hard being anyone who, in this game, Lyric, has to go up against Yuekai. If you're isolated, it's bad news.
You know what's crazy is that he only has 1 kill.
That's true. Feels like he's so much bigger.
From Yeah, it feels like he's absolutely massive at this point in time. TT though, earlier asking about IG starting the Baron, TT wanting to be the ones to start it off this time around. Yuekai was showing on the wave bot so they can at least try and force out a TP. Puff having pretty good guns for this, and most importantly, Frigid is set up on the flank.
Frigid's on the flank, but if Baron keeps going down, remember that TT won't have a smite nearby. Sonic Wave doesn't connect, and Yuekai now spotted out. SouthWind getting giga low as well. You burst it down, Super Mega Death Rocket does so much, and onto Frigid. He's gone in when the team's been absolutely destroyed. SouthWind is a freebie at this point, and Invictus Gaming running at TT because they mean business, but the ulti is a 4-man, 5-man fear! Invictus Gaming, if they had no one else that they killed, TT could have capitalized. But it's over. IG on the Baron, and TT wanted Captain in earlier.
That was just so unfortunate for TT. Even going all the way back to the setup. IG, though, coming out strong, get an ace, pick up a Baron. And even though we talked about IG have had soft control of this game for probably about the past 10 minutes, now converting that into an actual solid gold lead, having the Baron buff on Soul Point. IG just working as a unit. And again, this fairly young squad having to fill big shoes. It's nice to see. Let's go straight into the replay because you can see what TT are trying to set up. Pull the members of IG in. You have Frigid on the flank to look for the kick. Captain's TP, though, is, I'd say, decently behind because now we look at the setup, right? Frigid is split off in one angle. Captain is another angle. The other 3 members of TT are all on one side. So everyone's too scattered. Frigid's kick isn't actually able to send neny to the rest of the members. Yuekai doing a beautiful job of zoning on the opposite side. And then this play looked pretty sick from Captain. Goes in. Pretty big damage to come out, but no follow-up really available. Even for Puff, just too low, too much threat coming out for him to be able to walk in. And IG just completely clean up.
I mean, you give him the nice try there, right? Where if TT were all alive, that play is groundbreaking. Captain, everyone dead, TT to the realms of death, and unfortunately IG win the fight. And for IG, you know, it's a good story. They're on the Baron and they picked it up. They're now, what is it, 5? It's almost 6,000 gold ahead, Lyric, if I could tell. A really good start to the split for Invictus Gaming. Despite the early game in this game, they've come back, and you know, you and I were talking about this team before the split, and this roster is 100% a downgrade, but it would be really nice to see them start strong against TT like they're doing in this mid-game with the buckets of damage being thrown out.
I feel like we've just seen range be king so far in the LPL in this meta. Yeah. Heck, it's one of the reasons why Corki's win rate is so insanely huge right now, right? 5-2, most played mid lane champion in the LPL. Aphelios, Jinx, all these champions coming out strong. Whichever team can stack up more range, I feel like you just have so many options in terms of how you are able to play out around these dragons, getting first control and first movement out of mid, especially when you combine it with what IG have in terms of also having side lanes. And it's not even surprising anymore, Hysterics. They have Infernal Soul. He's already massive. This is just how it's going to happen.
You know what? At some point, the child on the ice rink, Lyric, they get off because they're sick of falling down. And for TT, today is not the day. They're going to get off. They're going to take their boots off, sit down in front of the couch and go, where did it all go wrong? As the Shadow Surge misses through, Captain will get a responsive. Yuekai is in the backline dealing so much work. TT on the fountain, scared of life. And this Jinx now getting some revenge for that mid-game play. TT, I'm sorry it's not your day, but for Invictus Gaming, they open their spring split with such a big bang.
Look, all of you IG doubters, all you people who jumped off IG ship, one of them being my co-caster, look at you. Look at you now as IG I think the thing that's very evident when you look at TT is the fact you just question, you know, where the leadership would come from, or the experience, or you know, who's calling or communicating on this roster. Because, yeah, like you're saying, in the mid game is where it looks to fall apart. Puff and SouthWind never looked like they've been a focal point on any roster they've been on, which would make me assume they aren't massive voices. Captain, again, was never even really a full-time starter last year. Then you have a new jungler, and then a player like New in topside, who's also never been a player to be played around. So I think for TT, there's going to be very massive growing pains for them to be able to find a system that works. For IG, it just looks like it's play around Xun. Let Xun do whatever he wants to do. Your other members have certain standout picks they can obviously carry on, like Yuekai on this LeBlanc. And then Xiaoyueji, I think a very solid debut in the LPL. And we've already seen the glimpses of what neny was able to do last split. So I think IG definitely have already a bare bones structure in place compared to a team like TT, who still have to figure that out.
Yeah, and again, coming back to the positives here, where I do want to talk a little bit more about this IG roster and how it's come together, at least for the first series, where some of the rookies have looked really good. But the strength in it is definitely the points we were talking about coming into today. Xun is a big member for this team. neny was giving us elements of what he started last spring in when the Shy wasn't playing. More importantly as well, I think Lucas has had a pretty decent showing, especially the game one Rakan. It does feel like the standing members are holding up to the plate, are holding up to the reputation that we talked about. So it is nice that IG have some kind of structure here when their roster has kind of been taken apart.
Yeah, it just, you know, phenomenal. See, IG have always been more of a developmental team in terms of that they like to pull members from their own ecosystem that they have either, you know, had on the bench as streamers in the past, like the Shy being a member, kind of like sitting there, or we've also seen members of IG going to other teams, right? The Huan Fong's obviously captain on this roster. Yeah. Just there's so much talent that IG have developed in their LDL team. They're always a top LDL team that it's nice to see a lot of them stepping into this roster and just performing so adequately. Yeah,
it's good. We're going to track that development a little bit as well. I've been told that Xun is standing by with Wendy for a quick interview, so it'd be nice to get an insight into the winning team, the winning jungler from today's series.